All right, we're live. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Menina Chow, and it's great to already see folks joining this call already in advance. So thank you for your punctuality. This is a community call, and today about a sustainability topic, how to leverage emission factors from ecoinvent for your product footprint. And with me, we have Selina Grade, who is product manager in the sustainability engineering area at SAP. We also have two colleagues from ecoinvent here, Fadri Kasti, who is a Chief Commercial Officer at ecoinvent, and we have Johannes Müller, Data Analyst at ecoinvent. Now, everyone, you know how YouTube works. There is a live chat, so feel free to add any questions, comments that you may have. Give us a like or feedback if you feel like you would like to hear more or even more topics in that direction. Yeah, anything that you can share, it really helps us to make the SAP community calls even better tailored to you and your needs. And with that, let's start with this session, and I'm handing it over to Selina.
Thank you, Menina. So welcome again also from my side. I'm Selina and I'm part of the Sustainability Engineering Product Management team. And I'm glad to have Fadri and Johannes from ecoinvent here today. And as Menina mentioned, we will be talking about how to leverage lifecycle assessment data from ecoinvent for the calculation of product footprints with SAP Product Footprint Management. And in a few minutes, Fadri will provide more details on ecoinvent, the data providers, customers, and the licensing. And then Johannes will deep dive into the emission factor packages in terms of the industry and geographical coverage, and more details on the actual emission factors. And we will also give a glimpse of how the data looks like in SAP Product Footprint Management with an example. And then there will be time for Q&A. So as Menina said, please submit your questions in the comments and we will be glad to answer them. So with that being said, before we dive into the ecoinvent database, let us set the scene with a short overview on emission factors management. SAP Product Footprint Management is built on the SAP Business Technology Platform and offers live connectivity to SAP S/4HANA Cloud and also to the S/4HANA on-premise version. The application enables you to calculate product footprints at scale, considering the product lifecycle so that the product footprints can be disclosed and also be used for product optimization. So which role do emission factors play in this case? In order to calculate the product footprint, not only business data, like for example, material flows that can be acquired from different systems and sources, but also emission factors are needed for the calculation. As of now, we focus on the impact category of climate change to calculate the carbon footprint of the products. And within this category, different types of emission factors can be used, like proxies, supplier-specific data, but also industry averages. And the emission factors management also enables you to reuse results from existing lifecycle assessments so that you don't have to start from scratch. And in the Import Emission Factors app that we are also going to demo later, data sets from own product lifecycle assessments as well as from external LCA content providers can be imported. And ecoinvent's product-related emission factors are provided in the SAP LCA format already, so you can import the data into SAP Product Footprint Management easily. And with that being said, I'm handing now over to Fadri from ecoinvent, who will share more details about ecoinvent and their database.
Hello, everyone. Okay, some technical issues. Thank you very much, Selina, and welcome to that session. My name is Fadri. I'm Commercial Chief Officer at at ecoinvent. I'm very happy you joined this call. I give you a short introduction to ecoinvent before I hand over to my colleague Johannes, who is giving you insights about the data you can use for the product footprint management tool. Now, as Selina gave you a short overview of the tool, as you know, every tool needs data, of course, because data fuels the tool, and that's where ecoinvent comes in. ecoinvent is the world's largest transparent lifecycle inventory database for more than 20 years. What does that mean? Think of a global library of human activities where we help the users to answer questions like these. Which type of packaging can lower the environmental impact of my product? Or what is the carbon footprint of a battery produced in China? Or where can I find emission factors for my purchased goods and services? Or another one, what is the real climate impact of aluminum production? So ecoinvent provides answers to all these questions. Now, how does that work? As you can see from the diagram, it's pretty straightforward. It goes in a circle. It starts with extracting of natural resources, goes to different stages until it ends at end of life in its incineration and landfilling, or a recovery as a recycling. ecoinvent considers all of these stages in a transparent and consistent way. Now, it makes with this, it easy to tailor your environmental studies exactly to your specific needs and requirements. This can be used for all kinds of works, for your circular economy projects, for life cycle assessment projects, in various tools such as supply chain management or product design tool. Now you're sure asking where the data is coming from. We are working with partners for many years worldwide. There are various stakeholders covering all kinds of industries worldwide. In universities involved, research institutes, governmental organization, industry association, or also private corporates. They contribute together with ecoinvent to maintain and expand the database. Here you can see who is using ecoinvent on a daily basis, also for many years, some of them for many years, or for all kinds of applications. As I said, for lifecycle assessment tools, for product design tools, for supply chain management tools. Those are companies working worldwide across various large variety of industrial sectors. Now, another important user base is the educational sector. This is a selection you can see here for partnerships we have in education and research. They're here to promote LCA worldwide. They're also partners to become a data provider, so we can cover and make sure that the database is developing on a global scale. Now, speaking of trusted partners, that brings me to all of you, users of the product footprint management tool or future users. We offer our products in the SAP store. There we deliver a package of carbon footprint emission factors. That's an Excel file you can download with access to more than 9,000 emission factors. Johannes is going to tell you more about in a few minutes. This file can be uploaded to the Product Footprint Management tool. A few words to the licensing we offer. We have two options. There is an enterprise solution where you have access to all the emission factors as mentioned above for up to 5 individual users. Or if you want to test the emission factors first before you buy a full license, you can get the free of charge trial version. Other features we have there to see is there's an introduction video explaining again ecoinvent, what ecoinvent does, and some benefits and features to the data you can get from us. And to finish up, a little background on us. Who are we? We are a growing team of more than 30 people. We have almost as many nationalities working out mainly from Zurich in Switzerland. We're also an association founded in 2013 by 5 research institutes. It's the Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich and Lausanne, the Paul Scher Institute, the Swiss Federal Laboratories of Material Science and Technology, EMPA, and Agroscope. That's it from my side. Thank you, everyone. Now I give the floor to my colleague, Johannes.
Thank you very much, Fadri. I hope everyone can now see my screen. In the next few following slides, I'm going to give you an overview of what is contained in the ecoinvent package for the SAP Product Footprint Management system. And after that, I'm going to show you what this interface Excel file actually contains, what information is stored there. So first, a few words about data selection. The ecoinvent database in total contains about 19,000 data sets at all, as a whole. But for this application, it didn't make sense to include all data sets that we usually have in our database. So we wanted to make a selection and to also narrow down and leave out data sets that are not of use for this kind of application. So the goal was to actually just represent real, in a sense, real in quotation marks, products, because the ecoinvent database also contains a lot of services, a lot of market data sets that we did not want to include. So we defined certain criteria that we used to filter out certain data sets from our database. So we started with a selection based on a classification, and in the ecoinvent database, all data sets that we have are classified according to the ISIC classification, and this classification already inherently distinguishes between services and products, which helped us leave out a lot of the services that we had in the database. However, this was not entirely what we didn't lead to the exact result and selection we wanted. So we added another filter. So we left out treatment data sets. Treatment data sets in the ecoinvent database, they are data sets that take care of waste that are generated, and they're also considered a service and do not really, in a sense, produce a product. And they just contain emissions from wastes that are treated, which go to landfill or that are recycled, but are still part of other data sets that then make it into the package. So in a sense, they're just so directly left out, but they're indirectly still contributing to the emission factors. We also had neglected some data sets based on their unit, which was just showed that it was not a physical product. And last, we also excluded the market data sets. The ecoinvent database is built in such a way that if a product is produced by multiple technologies and these, or just multiple or different technologies across different regions, these are summarized in the so-called market data sets. But for this application, we really just wanted to add the actual production data sets of these products that we included. So we excluded the market data sets. However, there were some exceptions as for electricity markets, which represent the actual electricity mix in a country. These were kept for the package. This leaves us with the aforementioned around 9,000 data sets from the 19,000 that are in the overall database. And maybe at this point, I would also quickly like to mention something about the review process that all of these data sets go through. All the data sets that are in the database have gone through a predefined technical review. So there is an internal review of the data sets done by ecoinvent. Then this is followed by an external review from our external experts. We have experts in all the fields and all the sectors of the database that review data that comes into our database. And after that, there's another internal cross-cutting review that ensures our required level of quality and consistency of the data sets. So back to the coverage of the Excel and the package from ecoinvent. The before defined 9,000 data sets, even though they're half of the data sets that we have in the database, the products cover all major sectors that we have in the ecoinvent database. So there is electricity products, there are fuels, products for construction, for chemicals, products in the wood and paper sector, there are metals, agriculture and animal husbandry, and also the textile sector is covered. But based on the selection we have, there's the sectors of transport, waste treatment, and recycling and land use are excluded. Next, for the geographical coverage, in ecoinvent, there's not just one data set for each product. So as mentioned, there can be different technologies that produce a certain product, but there can also be multiple countries that, so a product can be produced either in Europe and in China with either the same or a different technology. So the same product can be available in different geographies. And this is actually the case for many data sets and also for many products that are available in the package from ecoinvent. But the coverage that actually, it's very sector specific from which countries are covered and which products are produced in the specific geographies. So the coverage varies strongly from sector to sector. For example, as for electricity, we cover basically all countries compared to chemicals, which are usually, there is a European or global production available. And now coming to the actual Excel sheet, which serves as the interface between the ecoinvent database and the product footprint management system. And this is provided by ecoinvent after a license for this is purchased. This sheet will be provided and can be uploaded into this product footprint management system. And this sheet contains several tabs with all the information that is required. The sheet is also built in a way that it can be used to import other data, not just ecoinvent emission factors. There's a README tab. There is a tab containing information just on the data set itself. There are the emission factors and there's classification. And each of the data set has an ID. There's the version of the ecoinvent database that is mentioned, and of course, the name of the data set. There is the unit that the product of the data set is measured in. There is a validity period in which the data set is considered valid, and there is a short description of the product itself, which is equal to the product information field that is in the ecoinvent database, which I just mentioned here for people who are potentially familiar or have had a look at the ecoinvent database. And the actual emission factors are listed in a different tab, and these tabs are linked by the aforementioned source and database, data set ID. And there's another tab for classifications, in which I'm going to show you in a bit more detail. The classifications tab contains classification numbers for all of the data sets. And originally in the ecoinvent database, all the products are classified according to the CPC classification. So we have two classification systems. One is for the activities, which is the IC classification, and there's a second one for the products, which is the CPC classification. And for this specific Excel sheet, we expanded the classification for the products also with the HS classification. And this was done with an official mapping file. However, this mapping is not a one-to-one mapping. So also due to the fact that there are some very generic products in the ecoinvent database, it can happen that there are multiple HS codes that match a single data set. However, all of them are included in the package, and they help to narrow down a search and give an overview on potential hits on if someone looks for a specific HS code. And last but not least, the emission factors, the actual emission factors, which the whole sheet is actually about, are in the emission factors tab. There is one emission factor that was selected, which is the IPCC 2013 global warming potential, 100 years, which is the most used emission factor in the ecoinvent database. It is based on findings from the 5th assessment report from the IPCC. And it was chosen because it was the most comprehensive and most used factor. There is again one row for each of the data set with the actual number, and again linked through the data set ID. With this, I give back to Selina, which is then going to show you an example on how the imported sheet actually looks in the PFM.
Okay, thank you, Johannes. So let us have a look at the data in the system. Hope you can see the screen as well. Okay, so like Johannes mentioned, the data includes a variety of sectors and geographies that are being covered, as well as further information like classification schemes, and of course the actual emission factor. So here you can see the emission factor package in SAP Product Footprint Management, and we do have around 9,000 data sets for the different materials, processes, for different regions and countries. So now let us have a look at an example. So let us imagine we are a company that just purchased cocoa beans for the cookie production, and we want to find the corresponding emission factor. So we can now search for the material in here. And you can now see that we do have a few matches for cocoa beans, and that there are different data sets for each countries, like the Ivory Coast, which is CI, Indonesia and Ghana, as well as the rest of the world. So now let us have a closer look at the first one, and you can now see the emission factor for 1 kilogram of cocoa beans, which in this case is 10.9 kilogram of CO2e. And like Johannes mentioned, we also do have the classifications, because you can now also see here helpful information regarding the individual classifications like the harmonized system or also the central product classification. And this may allow you to easier map the business data coming from your ERP system that may also contain, for example, an HS code. And based on that, you can then find the corresponding data set for the emission factors. And once the business data and the emission factors are being mapped, the product footprint can then also, of course, be calculated in the system. And that's it for a quick demo. Now, as promised, we do have time for questions and comments as well. And I'm going to hand back over to Menina.
Yes, thank you everyone for the great presentation. We also have questions already in the chat, but I also invite everyone to take the opportunity and raise the questions that they have. In case you don't have any now and only have any questions afterwards, of course, we're online in the community. You can check out the community link to the sustainability topic page. And we also have blog posts published there where you can comment, but also raise your questions afterwards. Now let's start addressing some of the questions that came in chat. Eric is asking, how's the link made in Product Footprint Management between the internal SAP material number and the source ID in the ecoinvent file?
Yes, so thank you, first of all, for the question as well. And the material number and the material can be mapped to the corresponding emission factor from the ecoinvent file through different ways of like mapping. So either like in the example we just had, there's, for example, an HS code that is being maintained in the system as well with the material. And based on that, you can easily find matches. Other than that, yeah, you might have to go deeper in terms of which kind of material it is, and then, yeah, do more of a manual mapping process. But we are also now working on further improvements of the mapping experience. And yeah, we want to improve that further for future releases and also investigate how we can automate things and how we can also create a more form of intelligent mapping as well.
Thanks, Selina. Another question was around the file and the new version. So how often is a new version of the file published? And do you have to manually upload it to refresh it, or can it be automated? Johannes.
Maybe I can answer this. So the ecoinvent database is updated once a year with all the new projects and data and corrections that we perform during a year. So I believe for now it has to be done manually. So we create a new sheet, and yeah, it has to be uploaded again. But we believe because we just release it once a year, that's manageable. I'm not sure if we have plans for automatic upload.
Thank you, Johannes. Yeah, further questions. Maybe some around, again, I mean, what you touched base on. So the emission factors, from how do they differ from ecoinvent with regards to the locations, like global or regional data sets? Do they differ?
No, I mean, the emission factors are exactly as they are in the ecoinvent database. However, I mean, of course, there are many more categories in the database itself, but for this package, we just chose the most common one. But for the products that are in the selection, it's everything that is in our database that ends up in the package.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. And you probably touched base on this already, but maybe to catch it again now with the audience attention, as it's an important aspect. Which industries and material categories are covered by the emission factor package? from ecoinvent?
So we have basically every sector that is in the database except for the transport, the waste, and the land use sector. Of course, yeah, only selecting the actual products always in quotation marks, because I'm not sure if you could consider electricity as an actual product or parts of the other things that are included. Yeah, of course, we're also open to refine this selection, and I guess we continuously will do that based on what the needs could be. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Another question from the audience. Thank you, Dietmar. How can a customer find out if ecoinvent contains the right emission factors for their business?
Maybe I can start, and then I guess Fadri can comment as well. But for that specific use case, we also thought about, okay, how can we give a bit of a glimpse into the ecoinvent file as well. So there are also, in case customers are interested, they can also provide a file that just gives more information in terms of the materials in detail without giving away all the emission factors right away. But I think, Fadri, you can also probably comment how the colleagues are best supporting for those cases.
Yeah, that's indeed a very good question. On the ecoinvent website, you have access, if you go to the database section, to download the file called Activity Overview. It shows you everything ecoinvent has, so all the activities available in the database. For the for the more than 9,000 data sets supported by the Product Footprint Management tool of SAP, we consider to upload that, or to offer a link at least on the store, so you can have a look before you buy a license what's included.
Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Thanks again, Dietmar, for your question. Another question that came in from Conrad here. Can we add some emission data which we collect from our vendors directly? Can we import 2 different databases in PFM?
Yeah, you can import your own data or data you collected from your vendors in this example, and you can also import different databases to make sure that you have all the data that you need to do the calculations as well.
Thanks. What are the
sorry,
Johannes,
just something to
continue.
mention here about the sheet. If you're assembling emission factors by yourself, the sheet has a description on what kind of characters, how many characters a field accepts, which I guess is crucial for the upload. So in the description, it always says accepts a length of 200 characters, or just characters in capitals for geographies. Yeah, but there's a very good description in every column.
Thank you. On the topic data quality, so how do the data sources of the ecoinvent database determine the data quality?
I'm unmuted, yeah. So we have many different data sources. Parts of the data come from industry associations, other come from research institutes. Part of the data we collect ourselves. So a very broad selection of data sources, and we ensure the data quality with our review process. We have, as I mentioned, this 3-step review process where we have our own internal review. We have external reviewers and experts that take part in the data provision process. We always take the whole database into consideration when we add new products. We try to make the modeling as consistent as possible. And we also try to make it as transparent as possible. So all the data in the database that we see, that we have in the background, is also available to all our licensees. So everyone that has an access to the ecoinvent database can view the same data on which the emission factors are based. And this also helps us in a sense of kind of crowdsourcing also information. People contact us when they find something that they don't understand, that they find weird, or also errors that they find, which is also very helpful for us to constantly improve the data we have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, good, thanks. Yeah, I think we covered quite a few questions from the chat. I don't see any new ones, so definitely take the last chance opportunity here live, where we have Fadri and Johannes and Selina live with us, where you can ask them. If not, of course, you can find us in the community and continue asking your questions and also see what others have posted. I think it's always great to check out and learn from others as well. With that, let's go back to the slide and say thank you, not only to our speakers here, but also to you, everyone that took the time watching, and hope it was helpful. Give us your feedback, your like, and your thoughts that you may have. And as you can see, we have some links where you can follow us in the community. There is a subtopic page around climate action. There are blog posts about PFM. And we also have our speakers on the community as well, where you can mention them if there's any question that comes up. But yeah, I think with that, happy to end the call. Yeah, I don't see any further questions, so that's good. I don't want to miss anyone. So yeah, have a good rest of day. Take care. See you in one of the next SAP Community Calls. Wish you a good journey with Product Footprint Management and ecoinvent. Thanks, everyone. Let me end the stream. Okay, stream.